So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to get the max performance out of your computer, because a lot of the time people don't have these settings enabled, and these settings are very important for getting the max FPS and making sure that Windows doesn't ruin your performance. So the main thing is you're going to make sure you have your graphics drivers. This is a huge one that sometimes people don't update frequently enough, but it's very important because sometimes new things come out like DirectX 12 Ultimate and hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. These are all cool features that have been coming out lately, and if you don't have the drivers, you don't get them. So it's always good to make sure you have them. And if you have those downloaded, close out of this. Then the next thing we're going to be tackling is the power and sleep settings. Go in here, click on additional power settings. You want to click this little drop down tab right here, and then go to high performance. Click that. This is just a custom one that I have. Close out of this, close out of that. All right, and then the next thing we're going to be doing is optimizing our NVIDIA control panel. Now this is everything that is related to your graphics optimization, and so you'll want to have this enabled too. So you'll want to go down, right click on the control panel, and go on to image settings with preview. You want to click on this and click the slider all the way over to performance. Click apply at the bottom, go to manage 3D settings, and these are all of the settings that I have listed as the most optimal, as these are all the ones that I've researched individually and have found to not harm your computer performance at all and to give you the best performance possible. So that's good. And now that I have that, if you need to, you can always pause the video and look at these individually if I'm going too fast. Then you want to go to configure surround physics and set this to your GPU. Sometimes people have this set on their CPU, but physics doesn't run very well on the CPU. It can, but it's a little bit of a struggle bus. So make sure to have this set as your GPU. And then another one that sometimes people don't have is for their adjust desktop color settings. If your screen has a really odd looking color to it, like it doesn't look very full and vibrant, this digital vibrance slider right here might help a lot with that. So for example, this just controls all the color vibrancy of your computer. So slide this all the way to the very top, click apply, and then once you have all of this out, close out of this. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to be doing is going to this PC, right click on that, properties, advanced system settings, go under the performance tab where it says settings, and then go to adjust for best performance. Now for some people, when you turn this on and you go to adjust for best performance, these tend to be sometimes for different people this can look really bad, but for me it looks really nice and it doesn't bother me. But for some people they really like it a certain way, so if you want to, you can enable some of these individually with a custom tab, one at a time, to find what you like the best. But the general rule of thumb is the less of these you have, the better. This is going to optimize your CPU for you. Go ahead and hit apply for that. Go to advanced, hit change, uncheck this, make sure you have your SSD selected, custom size, and then set the initial and maximum size to the recommended at the bottom here. Click set, click OK, close out of this. Okay, now we're going to disable another service that is very bad for performance. This has been known to cause a lot of CPU and GPU usage spikes. So it'll drop down and then sometimes it'll go really high for no reason. This one is called High Precision Event Timer. Go to System Devices in the Device Manager. Scroll down until you see this. Right click on it and then click Disable Device. Okay, once that's done, the next thing that we're going to be doing is disabling all of the background tasks in our computer, because a lot of these will be running in the background and a lot of them take up a lot of CPU utilization, and we don't want that happening because a lot of these apps you don't even end up actually using. So what you want to do is go to the very top, and then you want to uncheck all of these. Check that off. Speech, turn that off. Inking and typing, off. Diagnostics and feedback, I turned this one off because it causes a lot of ping spikes, so I tend to keep these disabled. Active history, that one can be enabled sometimes because if you have, like, say, a lot of different browsers that you use history for, like with passwords and stuff, you'll want to keep that enabled. So then go to location, turn off. Camera, you can leave on if you find that you take a lot of like snapshots and stuff, but if you don't worry about it. Microphone, leave untouched. Voice activation, you can leave this one off, but sometimes you might need it on for certain applications. Big one here is notifications, click off. Account info, click off. Contacts, off. Calendar, off. And as you can see, you can still see the calendar right here. So I don't know why this is here. Phone calls, off. And don't worry if you have like Discord and you actually make like calls, this isn't the same thing. This is like almost like a telephone kind of phone call, but you're using the computer instead. Call history, off. Email, off. Because again, you can still access the email tab from here. So again, I don't know why this is here. Tasks, off. Messaging, off. Radios, off. Other devices, off. And the major one here, background apps. These are all of the apps that are running in the background that are taking up CPU utilization on your computer. So you'll want to make sure you have all of these turned off. Go to App Diagnostics, turn that off. Automatic file downloads. This one is fine to keep on allow. Documents, keep on. Pictures, videos, and file systems, keep on, because I consider these more like crucial stuff. So if you do like video editing or snapshotting or, you know, looking at text documents, keep those on. You can always end up using those later. And then for the next thing is what you're going to want to do is a lot of the time people don't actually optimize their graphic settings in game. So if you want a lot of FPS, but you don't care about the graphic settings, you need to turn down the graphic settings inside of the actual game. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like in terms of what you should be setting for your optimal FPS drive. Because a lot of the time these high graphic settings don't change the game quality that much at all. So you'll sometimes just want to have these turned off because they just take up a lot of utilization on your computer. So go to video, graphics quality. I keep these on high because I have a GPU strong enough to run them. So it's not a big deal for me because these don't really hurt my minimums or my maximums. So I can keep these on. But for you guys, if you can't run this, like if you have like a 1060 or like a 1050 Ti, you'll want to put these to low, off, off, 1x, off, off, off. All of these should be left off because a lot of these will take up a lot of GPU utilization, and that's not good for your performance. That can cause a lot of problems with huge drops randomly because if your computer starts throttling and gets too hot, it'll drop the clocks, and that's why you lose FPS. Alrighty. And then another thing that a lot of people actually don't usually have turned off is if you go to your desktop, click on mouse, and sometimes actually with Windows updates, this re-enables itself. So you should always be checking this every once in a while just to make sure you're not throwing yourself off. Go to additional mouse options, go to pointer options, and disable enhance pointer precision. This is basically the mouse acceleration, which is really bad for when you're trying to aim because it'll basically exponentially ramp up the speed of the mouse depending on how you move it. So if you have this enabled, it means that you won't get a consistent 1-to-1 ratio with your mouse movements, and that's just not good. But, and then you also want to put this to the middle, right here. Hit apply, close out. And that's all of most of these settings you should have turned off for the best experience.